basically they admitted they couldn't grow this internally quickly enough. It had to be an acquisition.
Yeah, it sounds like also they really felt like the product cycle was just going to take them too long. Brian Krisanich is really remaking Intel into a different kind of company. I think recognizing the PC is not going to be the center of everything anymore, and it's not enough to say we're still the data center, which is what sort of the excuse they had in missing mobile telephony, saying, well, it's all got to go back to the data center anyway. They significantly missed out. They left room for Qualcomm to become a dominant company here, and I think they really don't want that to happen in the car market. The question is, ultimately, are the margins going to be there? Now, right now for Mobileye, they've got small sales of some really nice margins, and God forbid, free cash flow. But can that business be as profitable as the chip business was for Intel and the PC and Intel and the data center?
So key question in terms of going forward. Mark, the premium was pretty hefty, as we heard from Cory, more than 30%. Does it vindicate this sort of premium when you're looking what Mobileye is building now for the future? You talk about the roadside experience management sensors. Right. Is this where it's at?
Well, I think that's a big part of it. And you heard him talk about data. And that's one of the big things. Mobileye's business now is collecting forward and backwards visualization and lane guidance and things like that. Most of those devices aren't connected. But one of the things they announced starting last year was the idea of connecting those up and capturing data by the roadside. And that's going to plug into these maps that are going to be needed for semi-autonomous and autonomous driving. And I think that's really one of the reasons for the premium.
Does it work well with here, which of course we heard Intel had bought previously, the mapping bit, you're the map expert?
Well, so it needs to work well with a mapping system. And Intel made a moderate investment in here a while back. It needs to work with a mapping system, because what it does is it tells you on that map, now where precisely are you? Where is the car localized? And that becomes really, really important, because you need to know things like not just what lane you're in, but when to start moving over to make turns, what your trajectory should be through an intersection. So the map needs to be there, but this other layer on top of it is, I think, where Mobileye will really be playing.
Cory, Qualcomm, is this really where it's under threat now? Are they going to be the ones sitting up worrying by this Intel purchase?
I think to some degree, yes, to some degree, no, right? So we sort of see this evolution of these devices, this evolution of these chips from where they exist right now. But the notions of what these things are going to be doing is dramatically different than what we see on the road today. And so to the extent that Qualcomm's already in some cars and that they've got, with some of their acquisitions, that they've got some business in cars, I think is a lot less important. And again, to the profitability point, the chips that Qualcomm has in cars right now are very low margin chips and low operating margin chips. And they're dumb chips as well. They're not sort of these super smart central processing unit equivalents in the car that Intel's going after. And the stuff that Mobileye is doing is at the very cutting edge. Qualcomm doesn't really have anything that's close to that.
Do you agree, Mark? Because
yeah, it's huge. And if you just think as you're driving, all the computations, and the brain's an amazing thing, but if you think about what we've got in cars now and how we navigate, we go somewhere, we turn right, but really what happens is you're moving over into lanes, you're making a trajectory, you're setting your speed. The car needs to sense all those things. And one of the key things is the maps can't be static, because they change at all times. And so that ability to capture all that new data, everything that's new, and then feed it back in near real time and update those maps is part of what I think they're buying. It is a bet on the future, though. It clearly is.